Are we on right now? Did you press play? Are we rolling?
Do the thing.
This is Vicious and Delicious. Josh C. Dwayne, accompanied by JT Energy, and you are listening to Slam Fam Wrestling Network. Welcome to the family, Marks.
Family.
Oh.
Hey Cellmates, and welcome to episode whatever one this is. We'll probably not give it a number. This is our Mae Young preview episode. I'm so super jazzed. Unfortunately, Kat is still caught up in all of her training stuff. She just has to be a wrestler. More good on her, but so today I have with me Shannon Townsend from the Married Marks.
Hello!
Anyone who's listened to Bells for long enough will have heard her lovely voice before. Bells and the Married Marks have pretty much, we're pretty much Potter and family at this point.
We're pretty much we're like best friends, except Ethan Page doesn't go out of his way to get us to not hug when we see each other. So, you know.
Basically. So we're going to jump right into this, mostly because there's a lot to tag in. For those of you, I know there are some dedicated Slam Fam Network listeners that will be doing everything, and so we're going to try to keep this on the shorter side because I know all your time is going to be taken up by Off the Chest. They are currently recording, and Regal's got a lot to say about All In, so if you want an in-depth look at what it was like, he got the suite, he got the tickets for everything, you can go check out, and I'm sure Shannon, you said that you guys are going to do a bunch of All In stuff.
Oh yeah, there is much to say about All In, It was epic.
I did not go, unfortunately, but you got two places to get the in-depth review. Alright, we're just going to jump right into it. I watched the Parade of Champions, and literally just used the same exact lineup they did. So first up, they have the virtuosa Deonna Purrazzo. Now, she was just at All In, if I remember correctly, so I'll let you take this one on a little bit about her. And what she did at All In, let's start with that.
Well, she was, I don't know if she was at All In. I think she was at StarCast, which was the fan event. But she's definitely what everybody kind of considers an indie darling. One of the fiercest people I've seen in the frickin' ring. Awesome, awesome talent. I don't know, I could literally just spend 10 minutes gushing about her because she's pretty epic. So without sounding like a broken record, I'll probably stop there. But she's fantastic. She's one of the reasons I'm actually really looking forward to the Mae Young this year.
I'm really looking forward to, the roster in general. It seems like a lot of the people that I really wanted to see last year are on this year, along with some of my favorites. And just a moment before we go forward, just going through this and looking at it, the sheer amount of diversity in the booking of this thing is insane.
Oh yeah, it's bananas this year.
Different ethnicities, and the first, they had the first Indian one with the first, I think it was Portuguese, or first Chilean. The sheer amount of first woman of this ethnicity to be here, and the difference in body types from tiny little, is it Sia or Saya? Because there's two with the exact same spelling names, and it's pronounced differently for each. I'm dead serious. It's annoying. Sia Brookside, who's this tiny little thing, to Kavita Devi, who is an actual MMA bodybuilder. It's great.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay. So next up, before I get too carried away, is one of the first women I saw when I watched my first Shine show, Ariel Monroe. Right? She's in the stable Sexy Young Caramels, which I just love that there's a women of color stable on the indies. Yes, and that's what it's called. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. with Devin, Nicole, and Savannah Evans. She's only been in the ring for 3 years, though. I found out when I was researching this. I'm like, really? She carries herself much more, like, I don't know, much more self-assured than that. And, as I found out in the Parade of Champions as I was watching, she was in the Air Force. Did not know that. No, did not know that. And first of all, the other thing I'm excited about for this, I'm really hopeful, because last year, that commentary team on paper, like, 15 years ago might have worked, of Jim Ross and Lita, but let's be honest, Jim Ross is about just given up. He's been phoning it in for a while. So I'm really excited that it's Renee Young and Beth Phoenix this year. I'm so jazzed.
Nene's been killing it. She's on Raw tonight.
I heard a little bit about it. Like, has she been doing well?
She is phenomenal. She is like the perfect counterpoint to Corey because they work so well together. They could put her permanently in that spot, and I would be 100% thrilled. She's actually really fantastic.
I still think they need just like they just need a regular woman on commentary. Because I was like, whenever someone talks to me like, well, what do you want? You know, what's left of equality? I was like, 50% commentary female, 50% refs female. Like, we got some ways to go. So having her around is just fantastic. The next up, next to nothing. Literally, like, everything I know about her is stuff I Googled on the Pro Wrestling Wikia, which is how I spoiled half of this for myself. Ginny. All I know is that she's British. She was the first female graduate of the Progress Wrestling School. She wrestled the first women's match for Progress and is their current champ. And she did wrestle Toni Storm at the WrestleMania Access event last year. And that's about my extent of my knowledge.
Yeah, she's had, I've seen a little bit of her on just watching internet matches. She is definitely, from what I've gathered, a pretty big favorite with the European crowd. They really like her a lot. I think having her involved is really a good idea. I don't personally know how far she'll get, just because she's kind of a new name here.
Yeah.
But, and it's, it's NXT, it's the WWE at the end of the day.
Yeah.
They're going to book how they want to book, so we'll see.
That's why I always say, like, when you're looking at tournaments and you're looking at the first round, it's usually pretty easy to tell who's going over. Like, it's usually, you can usually tell. And she looked, I have my pictures up, I'm still looking through the wiki, trying not to scroll down too far to remind myself of everything that's been spoiled. She definitely looks to be of, like, either Indian or, like, Middle Eastern descent, too. So, yay. Yeah. One or the other, I suck at, like, saying, like, exactly. Just know that, like, it is obvious that she is a woman of color. Beyond that, I can't say exactly.
Yeah. She's, God, I want to say she's Indian. I might be wrong about that.
I want to see... No, but it doesn't say anything on her wiki page, I don't think.
Nope, I know, I'm looking too.
Oh, every time I've ever done one of these episodes, I'm like, I'm going to have my written notes, and I'll try to make them as detailed as possible, but I know I'll still end up on, like, a wiki page or, like, the cage side seats or whatever.
She's really good, though. Like, she's had some pretty storied matches in her career. I know she's fought Deonna Purrazzo, she's wrestled Dakota Kai, and I think she did I want to say she did like a match against Kaylee Ray and Will Ospreay.
Ooh.
I may be wrong about that. Yeah, she's pretty awesome.
All right. Next up is a name everyone should know at this point, Rachel Evers, the daughter of Paul Ellering. Now, usually I make a point of being like, not bringing up the men involved in a woman's life, because a lot of these women are dating other famous wrestlers. But I think this is a big thing because she is the daughter of someone working in the industry, and if we know anything about wrestling loves anything involving a legacy, anything involving next generation. I mean, people are already, I can speak, are already touting the day when Birdie Bella and Sky Monroe Mizanin go up against each other at WrestleMania 55 or whatever. Which, if that happens, I'd be there for it. Even at 45, I'd be there.
Like, if King Maxwell can get in on it,
right?
that is...
Oh, God. That'd be awesome. So, and she's done a lot of work for Shine and Impact, worked a couple NXT matches, not always under her regular ring name. But the fun thing I found out in my research is that in 2014, she won a bronze medal for the World Powerlifting Federation. That just sounds impressive.
She is epic. Now, this is one of the competitors I've seen live. She did a show up here in Minneapolis at First Wrestling. I think she wrestled Jessica Havoc.
Now I automatically love her.
Oh my god, it was epic. And her, as much as we hate to do the tie-in with her father, like, he was there supporting her, and it was just adorable.
But like I said, it's a little bit easier for me to do the whole talk about the men in her life when it's a legacy thing, because they do that for dudes too. That's okay. It's when they're like, it's when, you know, the women that came out at the first Royal Rumble and they're chanting their husband's name at them. Speaking of which, this will happen in a later episode, but be sure to ask me all about my conversation with one Vicky Guerrero. I got to share a merch table with her, and it was super awesome.
Oh, my heart. Oh, that makes me so happy.
Oh, she's
love her.
As sweet and adorable as her persona is bitchy. It's great. Alright, next up, again, is one I know next to nothing about, but in this case, from all I can tell is that she's been mostly, as far as her wiki page, mostly NXT focused, or at least that's all the information I can currently find on her, is Reina Gonzalez. I know she was a wrestler in Texas, she played basketball in Texas, and she's done like a lot of jobbing type stuff in NXT, and that's again about the extent. I wish I knew more of these women. I know more than last year. I knew like a tiny amount last year, but that's about the extent I know of her. Also, again, she's one of those bigger, more muscular women that I love with a diverse body type.
I feel like, did she have a match in the Mae Young last year? I feel like she did.
I'm looking through. Control F. Let's do this.
I feel like she had a
yes,
one-off.
she was. She was a one-off eliminated. First round against Nicole Savoy, and one of those obviously going to be thrown out. They did. That's weird. They didn't really.
She hit pretty hard, because I remember she comes out with like that little like lace half mask.
Yeah, I'm looking at that now. That's weird though, because I'm looking through my notes, and I kind of like starred everyone that had been touted in the Parade of Champions as having been there before, and they didn't say anything about that. So I'm wondering if they're trying to like sell it differently.
No, her match was really, I think, short last year, and it felt like very much just she was green. Like, she looked a little, if I remember this correctly, but like it wasn't bad, and I feel like it wasn't really one of the invested storytelling matches, which is why it doesn't shine.
The problem is that her debut was in 2014, so she's been around for 4 years, but looking at like her history, I think it's like a case of maybe not being given the rockets to really make it work, and maybe, you know, being kept in a more jobber-esque position might have made it look green.
I mean, they've been doing it to Tino Savatelli for like 8 years, so...
Yeah. You gotta wonder, like, how many people do they just, like, have in the back room to trot out for jobbing matches in NXT? Like, when do you get to be like, no, now you're actually gonna be your own person? Next up, I'm super, super excited. I could monologue about anyone who knows my favorite kind of women's wrestlers. There's two basic attributes I love in really any wrestlers, but especially women's wrestlers, because it's more rare for women's wrestlers. I love bigger women, and I love, like, dark gimmicks. Yes. And next up, we have Vanessa Craven, who has both, and I love it.
It was like, the second you said that name, I'm like, I know who and why it's working out, because holy moly.
Oh, she's a veteran. She's been around for 14 years. She's tag teamed with Tessa Blanchard, which you know isn't something to take lightly. She is that kind of I am strong, I will eat your soul giant type feel, which a lot of bigger women, when they are in wrestling, don't tend to get. Like, I mean, Nia Jax used to be that, but now it's fucking all about her weight, and like, no, give me the monster. I want the monster that can kill you. Like,
yeah. Which is why I like the way that they handled Viper Niven last year.
Oh,
they made her, like, she's intense anyway. I get to see her in, like, 2 weeks.
I hate you.
Super nerded out. No, Craven's awesome. And like, if I remember correctly, she's done some stuff in Japan, hasn't she?
Yes, let's see, a couple different promotions in Japan, IWA, NCW, like, she's pretty good. Although Japan by and large, has had better women's wrestling for the better part of a year. I know your husband did, but have you read Sisterhood of the Squared Circle?
No, not yet. And
oh my God, it's so good.
I know Richard's on it. I am behind him on that note.
It is a catch-all encyclopedia of, like, all of women's wrestling since the beginning of time. And they mentioned in the book that there was a couple decades, like literal decades, in which most of, like, WCW and WWE didn't even have women's wrestling. Like, there were times when they didn't even have a title, they just retired the title. Whereas in Japan at the same time had an entire all-female promotion. Like, Japan's been on women's wrestling. Like, what we have as women's wrestling now, Japan's had that for like 30 years. In women's wrestling, Japan has been kicking our ass for literal decades. which is why I always consider it like a part of the legacy for women to go to Japan, because yeah, that's where, like, that's the place that's been holding the torch for women's wrestling back when the U.S. didn't know what the shit they were doing.
I mean, dude, the first time I saw Kana, I was like, Jesus, did they not tell people in Japan that this shit's fake? Like,
right?
What?
Actually, you can say that about Japanese wrestling in general, though. Like,
I know. Like, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, guys, Minoru Suzuki, calm down. No one, just stop, please. Yeah.
Please.
Never stop murder.
So we're gonna go to the other side. So we have the Dark Will Kill You, Vanessa Craven. So we're gonna go to the other end of the spectrum. And again, I don't know if it's Zia or Zaya, because there's two different women with the same name. Zia Brookside, who is the youngest competitor at the age of 19.
Whoa!
This girl can't legally drink, and she's in the Mae Young Classic. What?
What?
But at 19, this bitch has already had 2 championships. IPW UK and Pro Wrestling Ulster. She has already had 2 championships at 19.
Is she related to
Robbie
Brookside, right?
Robbie Brookside, yep.
Yeah,
That's
Robbie Brookside.
stepdaughter. Stepdaughter.
There you go.
But, like, she's, like, but it was so funny watching the Parade of Champions, because you have, like, well, here's the thing. Vanessa Craven is big enough and tough enough that she can come out there with those, like, girly little pigtails and you don't say shit about it. Because she's Vanessa Craven. Right? But then Zia, whatever, comes out and she's, like, that perky, colored hair. Like, I'm like, it's literal polar opposites. It's great. Like, I'm like, I'm looking at the bracketology, like, are they going to face each other? It'll be a squash, but are they going to face each other? So, this next one, this is where my newness to wrestling comes in, because the minute they announced this next name, the crowd popped. It was one of the biggest pops of the night. And so I'm like, okay, this is clearly a woman that is important to the WWE universe. So I had to research her. Well, it's Caitlyn. Just Caitlyn. And at first, I was like, how am I going to research this woman, like, with just that name? No, it came up simply. She was the only female to win NXT, tagged with AJ Lee, and won the Divas Championship. So this is So this is an important woman from that era.
Wow. That's awesome.
So
I was like, no, it can't be that Caitlyn, and now that actually makes sense.
Yep. So she
was a Divas champion, if I remember right. That's what it does.
She technically retired in 2014, but because this is wrestling and retirements never count, she came back this year.
I give a tremendous amount of respect to any woman who worked in the Divas era and goes
and comes back.
No, I want to go to the Performance Center. I want to learn. I want to do things right. Like, it's one of the reasons I have nothing but respect for Nikki Bella. Like, goodness me. Yeah,
I may never I may never be a fan of, like, the gimmicks. I've never been, like, the popular hot chick. But the Bellas, and I've said this before on the podcast, while I may not be a fan of their gimmick, I'm not that kind of female. Like, the fact that they successfully transitioned from a time when women's wrestling was essentially a side act all about being hot to when it was taken seriously, and they stayed relevant, that's hard as hell. And they managed it. But I also see I don't know how far Caitlin's going to go, because I also kind of see her being like, who was it last year? Serena? I'm forgetting her name.
Yeah.
The last, she was in the CM Punk stable. I've only been in a wrestling fan for a couple years.
Oh yeah, back, Straight Edge Society.
Yeah. They changed her name, or I don't know if they changed her name. I can't remember. But she was, I see it being the same thing this year, that bringing someone back from WWE history as sort of a nod to the legacy. That being said, I know, it's gonna bug me. Serena, I have not been a wrestling fan for that long, guys. These names are not in my head.
That was a period when I kind of, like, lulled for a little bit, so, oh my gosh. I wonder if we'll see Caitlyn at Evolution, because I know they're going to book some legacy folks.
Oh, they're going to book it. Like, if Evolution is anything like the Women's Royal Rumble was, it's going to be... Oh, speaking of which, someone asked Vicky Guerrero that when I was at the merch table, and she gave, like, a kind of vague, cagey answer, and I was like, oh, what?
Well, I will be there, so I'm looking forward to
that.
Like,
she didn't say no! I'm just going to say that. She did not say no! So I see Caitlyn being that kind of legacy thing. And then next up is another, you saw her last year, but she still kicks ass, and that's Mercedes Martinez.
Oh, love her.
Right? She's one of those women where you kind of have to remind her it's not real. Because she might actually kill someone, and of course, she's one of the most veteran members of the roster. She's been around for 18 years, and Shimmer Shine, I mean, most of the American women from the roster have been at least through that company. But her match with Shayna Baszler last year, one of my favorites. I think Toni Storm versus Piper Niven was my ultimate favorite, but, like, Mercedes versus Shayna was a close second.
Yeah, I would agree with that, and it's hard to top Tony Piper in my book, because, like, that's a very storied kind of rivalry right there.
Yeah. I think the one for Mercedes and Shayna was there. I think it's Mercedes, Shayna, and Nicole Savoy were a stable called the Trifecta, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That I don't have in my notes. That's off the top of my head, because for a hot minute I was obsessed with Shimmer. And yeah, I know they're getting a streaming service, and I'm like, oh, another streaming service, but that one I might actually have to get.
Yeah, but that one I'm easily dropping the money for, because...
Yeah. It's quite simple. Like, the majority of women that end up in WWE that, like, are based in the U.S. go through one of the Shine, Shimmer, Rise, one of those. They will go, like, that is to women's wrestling what, like, Ring of Honor is to men's. Mm-hmm. Now, Women of Honor just needs to, be given more credit now that they've got Tennille Dashwood. I'm watching that, like, don't you ruin her.
I'm working on it. They got Madison Rain. They got some really good folks right now.
So next up, next to nothing about her on the wiki, so I got what little info I have. Zatara?
Oh!
I don't know. Do you know more? I know she's from a native of Chile. She's got the luchador style, and she's, like, been around for 10 years. That's the most I got. So if you got more, then go. I got nothing.
Well, you pretty much, like, summed it up. Definitely, like, classic, like, lucha style wrestler. I think I've seen a couple of her matches. She's really good. And admittedly, I'm biased. I love lucha style. Like, it's one of the reasons I freaking, like, obsess over Despy and 100 other people. I'm a Fabi Apache fan. But yeah, she's fantastic. She's, I think she's done RLL and a couple of other big promotions. She's pretty rad, though. Like, I think she's going to be kind of a shine out, I think. She's got some really fun stylizations to what she does. I like her a lot, so that makes me happy. Richard will nerd out about that, too, because we both like it. Cool. That's really exciting. I didn't know that. I've avoided like everything about Mae Young so far, so some of this is like news.
Did you not even watch like the Parade of Champions?
No, girl, no. I've been. We were All In has been a consuming thing for the last couple weeks. It's been ridiculous.
Well, then I will happily reveal the lineup to you. Yeah, there was a couple like women in masks, and I believe they said she was the first Chilean woman. Which again, the Divas division was very heavily Caucasian, so it's really not surprising that like all of these firsts are happening now. Because Kavita Devi last year was the first Indian woman.
Yeah.
And I believe the other Zia Lee was the first Chinese woman, so we're getting a lot of firsts. Next up is Karen Q. Most recently of Ring of Honor fame. Only been around for about 4 years, but she's got a ton of gymnast experience, which intrigues me. And it might be me, but I'm always one of those people that like goes, I want to know what they did before they did wrestling, because like a lot of times that'll give you an indication of like what kind of style they'll do. Like MMA, obviously, if they have an MMA background, they're going to do like the harder strong style stuff. And I'm guessing, my prediction, that gymnast means probably more of like a cruiserweight, more stuff in the air. I'm guessing.
Yeah, that would be my assumption. Oh my God, she was born in '98. That's the year I graduated high school. I don't know now. This isn't even fair. This is one that I don't know a whole lot about, so this will be interesting.
Oh, and I forgot to mention, because I realized we're looking at pictures, you guys aren't. She is Chinese American.
Yes.
So again, we're talking about that diversity in all aspects of it, which it only happened because Uncle Paul was putting this together.
The precious angel baby and needs to be in charge of like everything.
Do we know, is he the one in charge of Evolution? Because how excited I am for that is very dependent on who is in charge of that.
I don't know. And you better believe I have feelers out to try and find out, because God, I freaking hope so. They just dropped news that they're doing another Saudi Arabia show. Like,
not another one.
I don't know, man. I don't know. We can pray.
That's an argument for another day, but no, I'm one of the don't go to the evil kingdom, please. Alright, next up is I've only seen her once because I caught like in one of those early morning shows last year at WrestleMania weekend, when that kind of where you can catch a show pretty much any hour of the day, Thursday to Sunday night. And that's Isla Dawn. And I found out she's Scottish and has wrestled Nikki Cross back when she was Nikki Storm. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, well, I already love you. And she has a background in dancing in the ring for 5 years. And I didn't see too much of her, but the little I saw last year, I did like. She definitely has that sort of I'm here to fight presence about her, which I love in a wrestler.
Yeah. She's got a great game face, is what I like to say. Like, say what you want about Rousey. Like, Rousey's got a great game face.
Yeah.
Like, I will say the same thing about her. She's pretty. I can't say she's super green, because I think she started back in like 2012, 2013, something like that.
2013.
Yeah, I know about her because she teamed with Grado. That's how I found out about her, which like gives me life, which is just ridiculous and awesome. But yeah, she's fun to watch. She's kind of like, she's just really, really fierce and like, I don't want to say tiny because she's like 5'7", but she's got a very petite frame.
Yeah.
I like her a lot. I don't know, because she's done some stuff in ICW and a couple of other places. So she's a lot of fun. I think people will like her a lot, depending on like how they just decide to showcase her. Yeah, I'm looking. She's been doing some Nova Pro stuff this year, so that's pretty rad.
Yeah. So I'm excited for her, and that's also like the bit Alex, my husband, saw of her. Like, he's now like whenever someone says her name, he perks up. He's a huge fan. And next up,
I have to find this. She had a match against Lainey Luck and Jordan Grace.
Find that. I need to find that.
Apparently Jordan won that match because Baby Pog takes no prisoners, but
I've gotten to meet Lainey Luck too.
Aww.
There's there's a promotion in Iowa, in Des Moines, 3XW, and in certain aspects, they're very much your standard Iowa promotion. Like, they have a lot of weekenders or a lot of people they trained, but, like, the promoters there go out of their way to get, like, fantastic fly-ins. Like, I've gotten to call a Darren Corbin match before.
We know I love,
Yes.
I'm
The Ginger Snap. I've gotten to call a Darren Corbin match. I've gotten to call a Marty Bell match. Like, working commentary for 3XW kicks ass. I get to see so many, like, names that, to be honest, are above the pay grade of most Iowa indies. They're about what you think they would be. Unless, except for the couple times a year Revolver comes through. And Revolver is where I got to have a conversation with Jessica Havoc, and I loved that.
Oh, is she not the sweetest person?
Oh, I love her.
Well, she made my day when she was here earlier this year. Totally love her.
All right, moving right along. Next up, now, I hate myself for this, but I saw her and I immediately thought, she's kind of like Ember Moon. And her name is Lacey Lane. Fairly new. She debuted August of 2016 and qualified for a tryout and got in February of 2017 for WWE. So she did not spend much time on the indies. As a result, I cannot find a lot about her on the indies. But she definitely has. She is a woman of color. I love it. She's got like these long, like blonde, whitish dreads.
Yep. And
came out in the Parade of Champions with like, I think like bright neon green contacts, which kind of gave me the Ember Moon vibes. But she's also got like that kind of energy.
Mm-hmm.
But she's 5'2". And I don't know if she just carried herself differently, because when I read that, like, after the fact, I'm like, you did not look that short in the ring. Like, girlfriend's got, like, tall person energy and a short person body.
So, yeah, she's pretty green within the company, and it looks like she trained at the 3D Academy, which is the Dudley Boys Wrestling Academy. So she's got, she's definitely learning from some good folks. I think she started and made her debut back in 2016. Yeah. I've definitely seen her. She gives a lot of personality. She's like another one of those like big personalities.
Yeah.
I think the in-ring work I've seen her do, she's still a little green, in my opinion. Not in a bad way, just in I want to see, I don't know, like the first time I saw Bianca Belair, I was like, yes, I'm into it. Like, I wasn't super there with this. But it'll be interesting to see if she's been working solidly for the last year at the Performance Center, like where that takes her.
I definitely think so. And I mean, Bianca Belair, when I first heard that, like, her hair was her weapon, I thought that was stupid as hell. But then she actually starts doing stuff, and I was like, how does this work? Why do I believe this?
When Naomi tweets at her now and is like, girl, come hack me up, and she's like, I'm on my way. Like, I'm there for it. A tag team like yesterday, please.
A tag team Bianca Belair. Oh, God.
Mm-hmm.
I keep telling, they need a tag team division. I want a tag team division. I'll be watching Evolution.
They're working on it.
I'm hoping they debut it at Evolution. Next up, there's a couple names. I tried very hard to pronounce names correctly. I try not to let the whole I'm white be the reason why I pronounce a name incorrectly. So I'm going to try this. Hiroyo Matsumoto? I can't. It's her first name. It's her first name that I can't get. Matsumoto is easy enough. And I feel bad.
Matsumoto. Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. I'm an anime nerd.
I was never that kind of nerd, unfortunately.
Trust me, it's cheaper not. Let's see here. I feel like I know something about this woman.
The little bit of info I have says, obviously a Joshi wrestler from Japan. I mean, hella Japanese name. Which, is already right there. That's a certain level of quality. Because, again, like I said, they've been holding a candle for women's wrestling for decades. So their women are just often better. It's just, they live it. In the ring for 12 years, she has come through the shine, shimmer aspect. And at one point has named Asia Kong as a mentor. Or like an influence. So it's good. It's good.
That's crazy. Oh my God, I'm like, I need to look up some more of her stuff. You know, the worst thing is I feel like I've seen something she's done, because she's done stuff at like Cork and Hall and...
You've kept up with more like Japanese stuff than me. Everyone keeps telling me to get into New Japan. I was like, yeah, well, they need a women's division first. I know, it's
do it.
fantastic.
You'll never regret it. Yeah, it's tricky because like there's several women's promotions in Japan that do really great work.
And I like Stardom. I've seen a little bit of Stardom.
Stardom's great stuff, man. Like there's some really, you can go on YouTube and just like Google some stuff, or like there's tons of it out there. But she, yeah, I'm into this. I need to like look up some more on her, because we know I love Japanese style wrestling. It's like my jam, and I do not know a lot about her, but I've heard the name. I'm just really interested. Ooh, thank you for giving me homework to do later. I'm excited about this now.
I'm glad. I've been doing homework all day.
Thanks for looking out for me, Teach.
Not a problem. Now this one, I love her gimmick. I don't really know much about her. Her name is Jessie Eleben. She's 5'9", but her gimmick is that she's super nerd. Like if you look her up on the wiki and look at that profile picture, suspenders and the giant glasses and the big smile, and that's how she dressed when she was the Parade of Champions. That's her gimmick. She looks to be primarily WWE. Like, went right into WWE, so as a result, the little bit of airtime she's had, now she might have wrestled on house matches, but as far as like televised stuff, mostly jobbing. Mostly. She's won a couple, but
I want her in a tag team with the Great Black Otaku. Holy cow! How is that happen, guys? Oh my God! I don't know anything about her, but this is the Bates with like a word,
right? I mean, she debuted October of last year. Girlfriend hasn't even been in for a full year, and all that time has been in WWE. So like, there's not any wealth of indie stuff to look up on her, which is fine. I mean, there were several women last year that were WWE trained that came up pretty well. NXT knows what it's doing. It's just, you know, when they go up, that shit goes weird.
Yeah.
That's why I don't get too nervous when I find out that they've only been trained by WWE. Like, being on the indies might change the style, but being solely WWE trained is by no means a detriment to them. And I've said it so many times before, I want more weird gimmicks for women. I'm so tired of the gimmicks only being that they're hot or that they're strong. Like, no, give me, like, I love Nikki Cross. Give me the weird shit. Give me the dark stuff. Give me the weird, silly gimmicks. I want that. So the fact that she is so obviously this super ultra silly nerd character gives me so much hope. I don't even need her to win. I just need her to be herself in the ring.
Completely agree. We need more Rosemaries in the world. I'm just saying.
Oh, we'll get to that later. One of my favorite, and now like it's near the very end, and this is gonna go over an hour. It always does when we talk. But
you're like, I'm gonna keep it short.
I'm gonna try it now. Okay, fine. Let's try to keep it under 2 hours at least, if we can.
That'll be good.
If we possibly can. No, but so I don't know next to nothing, but that gimmick alone is gonna get me. Next up is the lovely return, the new face of the UK brand for women, Miss Toni Storm, who will be coming back. And I think
not much to say there. She's just freaking amazing.
Oh, her match we said it before, but her match with Piper Niven, perfecto.
Yeah.
Love.
Anybody who hasn't watched anything with Toni, just do yourself a favor, go YouTube it. Get on the network last year's. She's freaking amazing.
Yeah, love her stuff in Japan. I believe I don't know how the UK brand is working, if they're, like, actually signed, because it seems like a lot of the UK stuff for a while has been like, we're just going to borrow your wrestlers. So I don't know if she's actually signed, but for all I can tell, she is going to be an integral part of the WWE UK brand, which, yay. So we probably won't see her a lot on NXT, but I'll take anything I can get. She's fantastic. But next up is another one of the favorites, another one that everyone wanted to have happen last year, and they were bummed when it didn't. Io Shirai is coming.
Queen Io.
It's gonna be there.
This is my pick of the year. This is my girl. I cried when it didn't happen last year because she was jacked up and injured and couldn't make it. Like, give me all the Queen Io. All the Queen Io ever. This is my girl.
I thought all about some fun stuff about her. First of all, Shirai is Japanese for Purple Thunder.
Yes.
Which is just a great last name. I don't... like, it sounds cool in Japanese, but it also, I love it in English. And I didn't know this. She actually worked in Mexico under a mask as a luchadora.
Yeah. It's pretty common with certain Japanese promotions. Like, I know in New Japan, they'll take some of their, like, Los Ingobernables de Japón, like, they all did some time down in Mexico to learn the lucha style. So it's pretty common that a lot of Japanese wrestlers, a lot of young lions, when they're finished with their training, apparently will go to Mexico to learn the style. So it's a little more common than I think a lot of American audiences understand.
But yeah, so that's the name I heard last year. I didn't know much about her, mostly because when you try to like research, for all the Japan has great women's wrestling, a lot of their wrestling in general and like all Japanese culture is very focused on bigger matches. You don't have a lot of single matches, so it's hard to find out about one specific person in depth. You have to watch like a ton of matches that had to be good enough to warrant singles matches. But she was one of the names where it's like, lame, why is she not here? She was robbed, of last year. Next up, another vet from the Shimmer portion and fairly well known is Nicole Matthews.
Yeah.
She's in it. And again, it's one of those things where I should know more about her than I do, to be honest. Like, I've seen her on a couple of Shimmer shows back when I was watching them avidly, and I should know more about, and I'm kind of bummed that I don't, other than I found out she once was a tag team with Portia Perez.
That I didn't know.
It's the random stuff found on the wikis. I love that random info.
Where I was like, oh, I should know that. I don't, but now I do.
Yay! But again, she... one of a very reliable worker. Like, if you put her in the ring, the worst you're going to get is a just good match. She's been around for 12 years now, so girlfriend knows what she's doing. So I look forward to that. Next up, and I have a little bit about this one, is Tainara Conti.
Oh.
She was... And again, it's one of those, she didn't do much in wrestling before getting signed. She was kind of a straight time. Let me look it up real quick. If I remember correctly, I believe she had some kind of fighting style background. That's not even going to tell me.
So I think she said she did some stuff for the Brazilian Olympics, I think.
Yeah.
So
she's...
Judo, yeah, she's good.
I'm like, I remember when I researched her last year. I remember her background is one of those like genuine fighting sports. So that always brings up, and it was sad to me because there was like a hot minute when you thought she might be like doing something with the Undisputed Era.
Yeah.
Because like they were in a feud with Insanity, and Insanity has a female member, so like they like enlisted Tainara to fight Nikki Cross or whatever. And for like a hot minute, I was like, ooh, are they just gonna like add a female member to have a full proper stable versus stable feud? But no, they dropped Tainara, and then Nikki kind of fell out of the feud too. And I was like, you had a chance for something.
And she was in the Mae Young last year. I think she fought Lacey. And it was a fun match. It was a really fun match.
And I love her look. Girlfriend's got abs.
Abs for days.
Fiercest looking blonde woman I've ever seen.
I would not want to piss her off. That's all I want to say. She could kick my ass 9 ways to Sunday,
So I'm bummed. So hopefully, the next time around, now that they need all of these extra women to be on the Evolution pay-per-view, maybe they'll get more time. Next up, one of my favorites, not my ultimate favorite, that's later, but one of my favorites, Allison Kay is running in. Pinkies up, bitches. I actually first got to see her in AAW in LaSalle, teaming up with Jessica Havoc, as they've done multiple times, and the two of them together are just perfection.
Nice.
In the ring for 10 years, she's got that dark gimmick that I love. And also, found this out, she was once ranked in the top 10 of the PWI top 50 females.
Wow.
Yep. Which, to be fair, I wait for the day when, like, they have to extend that from 50 to, like, 100. And we're like, there's just too many awesome women. We have to make the list longer. I'm waiting for that day.
We're getting there. Slowly but surely.
Working it. So she's one of the ones that I'm really excited to see. If you don't know who we're talking about, it's also Sienna from TNA. But I think at this point, everyone kind of knows those names are interchangeable.
Yeah, pretty much. I've seen very limited of her, but
I like her. She's so good. Next up is one of my favorites. She was in it last year. Just such a good person. It's Mae Young.
Yeah,
it's back. I love her. She is such a huge advocate for domestic abuse awareness and recovery. I have painted my nails to put the nail in it. Painted my ring finger purple and all of that. And she was Jade in TNA, and that's kind of what everyone knows about her. But like, this woman is just like one of those people that, like, if you follow her on social media, just has undiluted, pure joy in the sport. Just, like, loves what she does, and it shows in every moment. And I just love her. Although she can also play a decent heel if the occasion calls for it.
Mm-hmm. She's pretty versatile. I'm really upset because she was supposed to be up here in a few weeks and had to cancel her booking and is canceling several bookings. And we think we know why, but I mean, it's both great and sad.
Don't get my hopes up.
I know, yeah, but we're getting Piper Niven versus Taya Valkyrie, so I'm down for that. That's going to be a good match. Yeah, Mia's a treasure. Like I sometimes I can think of like at least one negative thing to say if I'm being objective. I literally can't think of a single thing about her that I don't like. Yeah, she's perfect.
Next up, again, one of the ones I don't know too much about, but I love her all-natural hair, is MJ Jenkins.
Oh, yeah.
Again, it's one of those, I know, the most I know about her is what you can find on her wiki. Love her look, though, and it seems she's been around for, I mean, she's only been in the ring for 3 years, but if you look at, like, her work up until then, girlfriend's been busy.
Yeah. She's done some stuff with, like, I think Shine and, not ICW, I think CZW.
Let's see,
I'm pretty sure.
She is the World of Unpredictable Wrestling Stunners Championship.
There we go.
She's been in Impact, and she is signed, so she is just around.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, she's got a great look. She's got
love it.
Biceps for days. Yeah.
And again, it's one of those unapologetic black women that we need more of.
I'm here for it. We need way more of that, honestly.
I am intrigued because her wiki has her labeled as an American singer, personal trainer, professional wrestler. And I'm like, what are you saying? I'm intrigued now.
I will be Googling that later.
Right? And the next one is one, again, I don't know anything about, and I'm hoping you do, because, I know in the back of my head she's supposed to be pretty big. I believe it's the first Portuguese female wrestler WWE has signed. I believe, don't hold me to that. Killer Kelly.
I don't know a whole lot about her.
And, her wiki has next to nothing. Other than she was trained at WXW Academy and has been, she's been in the business for, 8 years. And nothing. How has she been around for this long and they have nothing on her? But I love her look. That picture alone has me kind of sold.
Yeah, she's got a great look.
And so I'm hoping...
the photos range from, super fierce, I'm going to punch you in the face, to, hi! Yeah, there's, no happy medium. She does have a really good look.
So that's I'm hoping, because I next to nothing, and damn it, Wiki, you're supposed to be the one stop search for all of this. Although to be fair, a lot of it is put in by random fans. So I'm I'm gonna have to look up stuff and put stuff in because I don't like this. All right, now this next one is already. I mean, yeah, kind of famous for her own part. She's not famous for being a wrestler, though. Although she signed to NXT, and that was her foray into wrestling. She didn't miss in the indies. Casey Catanzaro, the American Ninja Warrior.
Oh, yeah, the fastest run, I think, ever, and the first woman to finish as quickly as she ever did. And
Yep.
the first one to finish. She's pretty rad.
She is signed to WWE.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so jazzed.
Yeah, I'm actually really interested to see how she does. And anytime you have somebody that like crosses over from another sport or athletic style or art form or what have you, like I'm always interested to see how they take to wrestling, because some of them it's just like natural as hell.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping how it is with her.
I'm hoping too, because like just you've proven your physical abilities. Now the only thing that's up in the air for her is the sort of selling and the story aspect, because she's clearly proven that she can take a whole lot of shit physically and will have no problem in that. It's just making sure that she can get the other half of wrestling. But no, I'm super excited about that. And that she signs, so something can actually come of it. Alright, this next one is from wrestled on the British circuit. She is Welsh. It is Tegan Knox.
Oh, I love Tegan Knox.
I don't know much about her.
Amazing. Oh my God, she's another one of those ones I could gush about for like hours. Well, not, but yeah, she's fan-freaking-tastic, super fun, all energy, high impact fighter. Really, really, really like her a lot.
Although my favorite part about her when I was researching it was she once had a gimmick that was Luchadora the Explorer.
Oh my God, that's perfect.
Right?
She's great. She's done some stuff with like What Culture in the past and Stardom, and yeah, she's just epic. Just everybody, just go look up her stuff. She's rad. I like her a lot.
All right, next up, she was in the Mae Young Classic last year and really didn't do too much in the meantime. Unfortunately, wasn't one of the women that got the rocket boost. And again, I'm assuming how to pronounce her name, Xia Li. Again, Xia. You can pronounce it the other way. She, I believe, was the first Chinese women's wrestler signed to WWE.
Yeah, she was. I think it's Xia Li. I might be wrong.
That's her. Zhao Li is her given name.
Yeah.
Although I don't know if that's how it's pronounced. I don't know. Because here on the wiki they have it both Zhao and the XIA, so I don't know if that's just telling you how to pronounce it. Again, I try not to let my, I try not to make excuses, but I'm when there's two women with the exact same spelling of the exact same name, and I know they're pronounced differently, but I just so she was trained in martial arts. I liked her showing at the last Mae Young, and like I'm looking at it, and like between the two, again, she might have done some stuff on house shows. I don't know, but looks like she hasn't done too much on TV.
Yeah, she's had a couple of NXT, I think, TV matches.
Yeah.
And other than that, I just have to assume there's been some house show stuff.
Yeah.
But, anybody who works with Coach Sarah on the regular is picking up some damn good skills, so.
Alright, you'll love this next one. Now, it took me forever to make sure that this was the right person, because she's never wrestled under this name before. Like, WWE gave her, well, it's not really their name, it's a mix of her name and her ring name. Ashley Rain, a.k.a. Madison Rain.
Rain, yes! Here for it. Yeah,
it took me forever because I'm like, okay, it was like an alternate. No, like her given name is Ashley, and they just went back to her given name so she wouldn't, which almost maybe kind of hints that, I don't know if she signed or not, but considering the fact that she's got other bookings, I doubt it.
Yeah.
Which doesn't bode well for how far she's going to make it into the tournament. She's been in the ring for 13 years, been in Shimmer and TNA, and as I was looking, she's almost every year since she debuted has been ranked in the PWI Top 50 for women.
Yeah.
So this is a woman who's been on top of her game consistently.
She's a solid performer, and the thing I love about her is, like, she sells the hell out of every hit she takes. Yeah, I like her a lot. I'm actually, I hope she gets a little bit further than what some would expect in this particular year of tournament, because she is fan-freaking-tastic. I like her a lot.
I could see her maybe, like, getting to at least the second round, but I don't know how much more beyond that, unfortunately. They're a little tiny bit selfish. Next up is another returning woman from last year's Mae Young, and that is Rhea Ripley. Most of her career has been spent in Australian promotions, but I believe she is also a part of the WWE UK brand.
Yes, I think you're right about that.
Did someone forget to tell WWE that Australia isn't part of the UK?
Yeah. I know. I gave up on like eye rolling and calling them out on it because it's like yelling into the void. Like it does no good.
Here's the thing. I'm only 25, so I'm still super weirded out when wrestlers are younger than me. She's 21.
Oh yeah, she's a baby.
She's 20 freaking one.
It's like Tyler Bate Young.
How dare you? And then of course she did have her. Like we said before, it's always like a mark of a rite of passage for a woman to go to Japan, and she has. She's done the Japanese tour, and been in Mexico. It looks like. So yeah, she's been around. If I remember correctly, I don't think she made it past the first round.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I don't think she got very far.
Which is sad because she, for how how young she is, first of all. Girlfriend's been in the business for 5 years. She's been wrestling since she was 16. What?
Yeah. Right?
So...
people never start wrestling when they're super young. Sarcastic
yeah.
voice up.
Alright. So, she's been around. She might get a little bit farther this time. Again, her time in NXT between the two... has been a couple different matches, but it's never had a feud or a storyline, kind of just been, come out occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
So fingers crossed. I'm hoping that, they like her enough to put her back in, so maybe this can start something. Okay, this next one, I even, made a point to be like, okay, remember how they pronounce this name, because it is a name that I'm pretty sure I was going to get it wrong. Zeuxis, I think is how it's pronounced. Zeuxis.
XIS.
I
know this person?
Zeuxis. That's how I think it's pronounced. I probably should have written the phonetic spelling down because I knew the minute they said it on the Parade of Champions, I'm like, I'm gonna have to remember that. It's Princess Suhei all over again from last year.
Yeah. Puerto Rican luchadora.
Yeah. There's last year there was a whopping one luchadora. This year there was 3. And I love it.
More lucha. I'm into it. Let's just get all the luchas in there.
And again, I'm really bummed of how little there is about her on the wiki, considering she's been around for a literal decade. She's been around for 10 years, and obviously a lot of championships from the look of it, but not much about her beyond that.
Right.
However, she did, I'm going to butcher this, CMLL, I'm just going to say that, I'm not going to try to pronounce the full Spanish name and embarrass myself and the country of Mexico. She did announce that, I don't know if she's signed to WWE, but she did formally leave CMLL May of this year. So there is a chance. And I would love for luchadors to become a mainstay thing, because the last time WWE used a luchadora was for that angle that saw Mickie James return.
Oh, that's true. Oh my gosh.
So I would love to see a legit luchadora.
She's been working with AAA, so that's pretty cool. Huh. I don't know much about her, but I'm intrigued now.
Yeah, that's the one thing I love about the Mae Young, where it's if I knew all 32 of the competitors, that'd probably be a really boring show. But here, they went out of their way. We want the most diverse, different, plucking people from all corners of the world. I mean, the only thing it could do better is if they found if they went to, like, the Middle East or Africa and, like, picked people from there. Like, pretty much everywhere else.
That would be amazing, though.
Alright, next up is, again, another return from last year, Kavita Devi, the first Indian woman to be signed to WWE. A lot of people last year were like, because she was trained by the great Kali.
Kali, yeah.
Which is kind of, it doesn't bode well, but she was a former MMA champion. So I feel like with the right, maybe, retraining with some more time in, like, the performance center and some more time with Sarah or whoever, she can pull it around because girlfriend's got the look. Tall, muscular, looks like she could kill you. I'm surprised she didn't get more of a push considering they, WWE was obsessed with India last, like, a little bit ago. Like, I'm surprised she didn't get more of something. We could get Jinder Mahal as a champion, but we couldn't get the first Indian woman to get a push.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever.
I think part of it is her style is just because she was trained by Kali.
Yeah.
It was all about power, right? Like he was about those big impactful moves, but there was like no speed. She hasn't figured out how to make speed work for her yet, so I'm hoping that that's something that they work with her because I loved that they brought her in last year. She's got, like you said, because she's got an awesome look.
Yeah.
I love that she, like, takes her sari off and, like, it becomes kind of part of her gear. It was just cool.
Yeah, it was so cool.
Yeah, I liked her. Yeah.
And next up is my girl. This was my favorite. Like, when I found out, this, like, literally made me like, oh, well, I was already going to watch it, but now I'm going to watch every second. Priscilla Kelly. Hell's favorite harlot is in it. I'm so jazzed. I actually went back. I specifically went back because I wanted to watch her episode of My Big Fat Gypsy Wedding. Just because I wanted to see the difference of the little 14 girl who's getting married at like 14 to the ass kicker of today. And and you know me, I love dark gimmicks. I love dark gimmicks. This bitch will bite her opponents, literally bite them in ring, and it's great. She is a vampire.
The ring against Santana Garrett and come out alive. It like it's so I'm into it.
So that she's done a lot of work for Shine and Full Impact Pro. Only been around for 3 years, which again has that kind of self-confidence and carries herself in such a way that makes you think she has way more experience than that. So it's one of those, the only way to go is up for her. Now, here's the one that, the next one and the last one, that both got the crowd to pop and got Michael Cole losing his shit. And I'm gonna try to pronounce this. Mako Satomura?
Mako.
Mako,
I
sure.
think it's Mako.
You're probably right over me. She is the most veteran in the tournament, having been in the ring for 23 years. She's
there we go.
Co-founded... Mako? Isn't it Mako? Okay. Sure. She's co-founded an all-female pro wrestling promotion in Japan. Sendai, I believe, is how you pronounce that. Mm-hmm. She's been in Chikara. She's been in Stardom, all over Japan. She's been... And unfortunately, again, I haven't been watching wrestling for that long and watching international wrestling for even less, and I'm trying to remedy that. But this is the one where, from everything the commentary said, from the pop she got, this was, like, the one. Like, probably the biggest legacy of everyone. So yeah. I definitely need to go back and look and, like, try to find more about her, because it seems like there's a lot to her and a lot to appreciate and a lot of... Well, obviously she's had an effect on the industry. She made an all-women's promotion to help promote it. So clearly... she knows what she's doing.
Yeah, she's definitely that like legend status. I mean, she's 38. She's my age, so like she's not a spring chicken. She's not what I would call young. But she is definitely one of those names that even if you don't like, if you follow any women's Japanese wrestling, like it is one of those names. Like the last name Satomura, like it carries like weight. You know what I mean? It's like saying Suzuki. It's like the same kind of thing. This will be really, really interesting, too. Like, I'm intrigued to see what they do with her in this tournament.
I'm super excited. So next up, so that's all 32. So now we gotta remember everything we just talked about. And gotta remember all of it. That's why.
No problem.
Why do you think I got notes? Why do you think I have my notes in front of me? I'm not even joking. I have a teal binder that I'm currently working on covering with wrestlers' stickers. So if wrestlers have stickers, I put them on my binder. If wrestlers have pins, I put them on my purse. That's how this works. I'm speaking of which, I actually have all-in pins. Regal doesn't really collect pins, so he gave me, like, an all-in pin and then a Marty and Sarah pin.
Oh,
yeah, I know. Oh, I love them so much. Sarah's my dream person to, like, have as a guest host on the podcast. That she is, like, my dream person to have as a guest host on Bells. That would make my life. So next up, we're going to go through the brackets. Only of the first round. We're not going to do a full, because we don't even know who the next round would be.
Oh, thank you, God. I'm still recovering from the G1. So.
So we're just going to go through the first round. Because like I said before, in any tournament, in the first round, it's usually pretty easy to tell who's going over. Because you can just tell. So the first one on the bracket is Mako Satomura versus Killer Kelly. And this one seems pretty obvious.
Yeah, I'm going to say Satomura.
Yeah, I gotta believe. Now this next one, though, this, like, goes against all logic of a first round of a tournament, because it's Ashley Rain, a.k.a. Madison Rain, against Mercedes Martinez.
Ooh.
Right? Like, this should not be in the first round.
That's tough.
Because you can make an argument either way. You could say, Mercedes has already done stuff, they're already doing storylines with her, so do they want to do it again? I don't think either of the women are signed with WWE, so it's not like that's a factor. They both have clout in the indies. Like, I'm so confused why these two are facing each other in the first round.
I think it's going to be one of those, like, here's, like, the big main event type awesomeness. I don't know. I gotta go with Madison Rain on this one. I really do. She is anybody who, like, gets in the ring regularly with Sumi Sakai and, like, is still standing to tell the story.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah, she's rad.
I can definitely see it because Mercedes already got so far last year just to have that story match with Shayna, which was fantastic, but, like, there's not really much less of a story to tell because Shayna's not in this one. She doesn't need to be. She's gotten the rocket. So yeah, I agree with you, Ashley Rain. The next one is Lacey Lane versus Vanessa Craven. And this one, again, is one of those... If it was up to me, Vanessa Craven would win. It would be a squash match because, again, Lacey Lane is 5'2".
So you're not biased at all.
I'm not biased at all. But on the other hand, they know that that kind of gimmick already works because again, her look is very similar to Ember Moon, not just in skin color, but also in, like, styling and all that.
But I think because she's there regularly, like, they're going to do something else with her down the road. So I'm going to give it to Craven.
Ooh, okay. I like that. Next up, Taynara Conti versus Jessie Ellen. I'm not too sold on this match. I'm a little bit nervous only because they're both so new to wrestling. Taynara's been in for 2 years, Jessie in for 1. I think I would give it to Taynara only because she's, out of the two, she's been the one that's been around. And she's got the super serious judo background, and Jessie Ellen is all about the nerdiness, so I could see it being like Jessie can't measure up to the actual judo fighter.
It's also kind of a fun way to just, like, introduce the crowd, like, one-off to the gimmick and see how it works. I gotta go Taynara on this one. Yeah. They didn't do enough with her last time.
They should have. I'm still, like, I literally wanted her to be with Undisputed Era. I thought that's the perfect way to get to get a woman from the Mae Young noticed, put her with someone like that, and it didn't happen. I'm like, you could have done any woman, put anyone with them and make it a full stable. I'm sorry, I'm gonna. Yeah,
no, I agree. I think a lot of us thought they were gonna go that route, and then they just, like, whiffed it and didn't do it, and we're all sitting here going, okay.
All right. Next up is Toni Storm versus Ginny.
You can't have Toni Storm go down in the first round.
Right?
No, that's just not happening.
It doesn't compute to have her go down.
Yeah. Blue screen of death, reboot the whole computer. That's just not happening.
Alright, next up is Rachel Evers versus, and I'm gonna, Matsumoto, that name that I'm gonna butcher again if I say it. I'm trying to remember, how far did she get last year? Rachel.
Fairly. I want to say she made it at least to round 2.
Because I believe...
She might have gotten killed at round 2. I can't remember.
Because Matsumoto definitely has a veteran's advantage. If I was going to be behind the commentary table.
She has the veteran's advantage, and I think that they'll be excited about that. However, you've got Io Shirai.
True.
Io's not in the final. I don't know what the hell they're doing.
We riot.
And that's really sarcastic. And I know I sound like a total freaking mark for Japanese wrestling, and I probably am, but...
Probably?
Shush, woman. Yeah, I gotta go Rachel. She's so good.
Yeah. Alright, next up, again, I said usually in a tournament it's easy to tell. This time they, changed everything up. Mia Yim versus Allison Kay, which I'm pretty sure is a match that's happened before at some point. They run in a lot of the same promotions.
Yeah, they do. I'm gonna say Mia. Giving it to Yim.
Yeah, if she's newly signed and she's proven to be a good draw for them in the past, I can't see why. Now, this next one I would say is obvious considering everything we said. It's Caitlyn versus Kavita Devi. And it sounds like it's an easy win for Caitlyn. Based on everything we've talked about.
Caitlyn, but I feel like they didn't showcase Devi enough last time.
Yeah. Let's put it this way. The obvious choice is Caitlyn, but it would be better for the career of Kavita if she actually got it. Because I believe she was out first round last year.
Yeah, she was.
I guess that's one of those things where it all depends on how much she's improved in the back. In the performance center.
I'm gonna say Kavita.
I'll say Caitlyn because I was surprised last year when Selena came back and I thought, they're gonna push her because it's the wrestling legacy, and she didn't get that far.
Yeah.
I was really surprised. And I don't know if Caitlin's back or if it was just a one-off back from retirement thing.
Yeah, that I don't know.
Yeah, this next one is two of the women I don't know too much about. It's Tegan Knox versus Atara. So, I don't... At this point, I'd just be picking a name out of a hat because I don't know enough about either to be well, so-and-so.
I know the outcome of this one.
I'm
going to forfeit on that one for the sake of, not ruining anything for people, because this is the one where I do know the outcome.
I'll say then, I'll just guess that they... push Tegan to try to get, because she's Welsh, and they're trying to do the UK thing to try to get more support for the UK division. I'll just throw that out there. Okay. Next up, Isla Dawn versus Nicole Matthews.
I'm going to go Isla Dawn.
I will too, mostly because I love her. It's one of those, when someone asks you, who do you think will win? It's who do I think, or who do I want?
Right.
Alright, next up, Rhea Ripley versus MJ Jenkins. Probably, or Rhea. I keep going between Rhea and Rhea. Rhea Ripley versus MJ Jenkins. I'm trying to think, how much did Ripley get last year?
I don't think she got super far.
I don't think she did either.
So it would be cool to see her get a little push this year.
And I don't know... Did MJ sign? Because I know Rhea is signed.
I'm pretty sure MJ signed. I may be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure she's a consistent WWE.
Because I remember most of the people were last year the finals were 2 women that were signed, so you can usually tell. Nope, she's signed, right. So they're both signed.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna say Rhea only because she's had more experience and they've kind of she's already had video packages and stuff before last year, so I feel I don't know, I feel that's the character they haven't fully completed yet, and they need to complete the story.
Yeah, I think that's a safe bet.
Alright, this next one I think I know. Casey Kenzutaro versus Reina Gonzalez. I'm gonna give it to Casey.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Reina.
That's one of the ones where the clips will be fun to watch. Now this next one, this next one is painfully obvious. Io Shirai versus Xia Brookside.
Yeah.
that's one of those. Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure Xia will appreciate being in the ring with her for that one match, and then moving on.
Congrats, lady. You got the rub. You're good.
Well, I mean, she's 19.
Oh,
No biological clock is ticking. She's got time.
You know what? It's smart booking putting her with Io because Io's been in the biz a while. So that's actually it's a good way to keep her safe and help her look really good.
And give her a great learning experience.
Yeah, totally. I'm kind of into that match. It's a good pair up.
And no way in hell did they go through all the nonsense of finally getting Io Shirai to have her go out the first round. That's just not.
Oh my god, yeah, no way.
Not a thing. All right, next up. I feel so bad because I know there's a proper way to pronounce the same. Zeusis versus Ariel Monroe.
I'm going to go, just for the sake of having someone different in there to play off against, I'm going to say Zeusis.
I believe Zeusis has more years, but Ariel's more well known to American audiences, and depending whether or not they want to play off her relationship with Cedric Alexander, could also be a factor.
Oh, that's something I hadn't thought about. Yeah.
Because now everyone's like Vince McMahon hates relationships, but because I believe Uncle Paul has 205 Live now.
He does.
That's why the booking suddenly got so much better. And so if they want to do something with that, because I'd love to see women genuinely, legitimately involved in 205 Live, like women that do the aerial, well, no pun intended, that do the aerial style. Well, her name is even spelled Aerial.
Yep.
So because I know they had Alicia Fox in there for a while. That was a trash fire. Of a storyline for her. So I'd love to see women that wrestle as that cruiserweight style in 205. Just for me.
Yeah, could be good.
Next up, Deonna Purrazzo versus Priscilla Kelly. As much as I love Hell's Favorite Harlot, I'm pretty sure it's gonna go to Deonna.
I have to agree with that. I think Deonna's the.
She's just been the jewel of indie wrestling for too long to fall. That and WWE tends to not do well with darker gimmicks. Aleister Black being the exception.
Right.
But a lot of times they don't do well with darker gimmicks, or they go too far to one side. And then the last one, the last one is Karen Q versus Zhao Li. Sure, let's just go Zhao. The first Chinese wrestler, she is adorable. She's fairly short, but she's got great fluidity in her movements. And again, it's one of those I don't know too much about either.
I'm going to give it to Jolie on this one. I think it would be really cool to see her get a little further.
Yeah, because I believe she was out the first round last.
I think you're right.
All right, so we're finally over an hour and 17 minutes. We finally got through all of it. But, I mean, these matches, this is so much fun to do, though. It's so much fun. So if you're interested in more all-female content, meaning me, I'm currently putting it together as much content as possible for the month of October. We are going to have a new Bells in a Cell episode every week, plus the Evolution preview and post, because it's Evolution Month, it's, breast cancer awareness, it's basically Women's Month at this point, and we're going to promote all that. I already have a watch-along with my friend Sydney on the books, where we just look up random women's matches on YouTube, which those are great. You always find little gems, and I love it. I have to redo it, but I have an interview with one of my favorite online friends, Pasta Salsa. I had an entire interview with her, and found out, at the end, that the recording software hadn't been working. But But it was super fun. Justine is so nice to talk to. She's done so much, and she will talk your ear off for half an hour about how much she loves Mustafa Ali. She will. It's a love affair, quite frankly. So if you've ever seen any of her art on Twitter or Instagram of the 205 Live, her 205 Live babies, then you'll know how great she is, and we'll have an interview with her and a couple other things. I'm sure I'll probably be roping Shannon into doing something again. Lord knows.
Oh, darn.
It's just a thing. And if you are a female wrestling fan and you are interested, I am trying to get a lot of new voices on here because while Kat is busy trying to become a women's wrestler, I want to showcase a lot more women in the wrestling community in general and give a lot more female fans voices. And since we have this magical thing called Skype, you can live anywhere and be on this podcast. So if you have a topic you'd like to talk about, or you just really want to have your voice heard about anything, please get in the Bells in a Cell DMs on Twitter, @BellsInACell. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to get you on the podcast if you want to have a little bit of your voice out there. So while we wrap this up, why don't you tell all the good people your social medias?
Sure. You can find us. Our podcast is the Married Marks Podcast. We update every Thursday. We're part of the Inside Joke Outside Voice Network. So you can find us on Twitter @MarriedMarks. You can also check out the hashtag #PodernFamily. We're pretty easy to find through that. I am @SmarkyBetch with an E, not an I. And I do all sorts of stupid stuff. I live tweet lots of wrestling and have really strong, obnoxious opinions. So I've been told I'm entertaining, and she keeps having me back on the podcast for some reason. So,
for anyone who followed Bells in a Cell back in the early days when I didn't actually have to do stuff at shows and I was just live tweeting shows, and you liked my version of smart-ass live tweeting, we met because of a shared love of smart-ass live tweeting. We met smart-ass live tweeting SmackDown. That's how this friendship started.
I mean, smart-assness is what really brought us together.
So if you miss the old Bells in a Cell smart-ass live tweeting of wrestling shows, check out her stuff. It's awesome. I'm assuming you guys are gonna. I have not looked up your Podbean feed in a hot minute. I'm assuming you guys have already done or are going to do something with the Mae Young.
We are definitely doing something with Mae Young. I wanted to do like a whole panel because I have some buddies that were there, and scheduling is a thing. So we're definitely going to do a little something for Mae Young. We got a big all-in recap that I'm sure we're going to talk about this week. And we will be at Evolution. We're actually traveling to New York for the show. So we'll be there. So I'm sure we'll have a pre-Evolution deal and a post-Evolution deal because we were not going to miss that show.
Yeah.
We really felt it was important for us to go because we really want to support the women in the industry. So we're looking forward to it. So you can follow us on Twitter. I'm sure I'll have lots of hot takes before the show. So
say hello to Papa Hales for me when you're there.
I'm going to give him a big hug. I haven't talked to him in a while.
I assume so. I can't imagine the dude that's been in the front row of nearly every women's wrestling thing for the last 5 years is going to miss the biggest women's wrestling event in this country. I can't imagine he won't be there.
Yeah. You kind of have to assume he's going. I'll see if I can track him down for sure.
All right, so again, you can follow Bells in a Cell @BellsInACell. Be sure to follow the Slam Fam social medias @SlamFamRest, WREST on Twitter, or Slam Fam Wrestling on Instagram. If you like me but don't need to hear me talk about wrestling, you can follow my personal Twitter @Margaret_Adelle, ADELLE, where I bemoan trying to become a published author every other day. Working on it. Had just had another agent ask to see the full manuscript, so fingers crossed. Yeah, I know, I'm so excited. But thank you so much for tuning in. This has been so much fun, but then it always is when Shannon's around. And be sure to check out our the other stuff we have going on in October. Check out the Off the Chest stuff. It's going to be a great week of podcasts for Slam Fam. And of course, be sure to check out the Married Marks. They are basically our sister podcast at this point. Basically, You've been on this podcast several times. I've been on yours several times. It's just a thing. So be sure to check them out. And thank you so much for tuning in, and I will talk to you next time.